event is, if we were to look at the mini-map, it looks kind of like this if we kind of blow it up. It's got 4 corners, and it comes into the center. And so this is what's going to be the mini-map. What it's going to look like for the Jar of Souls event. Obviously, it's going to be up there. So what that means is already you've got to have a 9x9 tile. So we're going to have a tile here, here, and here. And then obviously every one in the corner. So it's going to be actually a 9 grid, 3x3. And so what that means is you're going to have to find a way of somehow cornering into this grid. So with this mini-map right here, let me go back into game if I know how to use my hotkeys properly. There we go. This map looks like it's going to expand into this kind of formation, which means that Jar of Souls is going to be in the center. So already this doesn't look like a good rift. If this was my first rift, I'd probably leave it right off the bat. And so if we see Jar of Souls, or we see Matriarch of Bones, either of those, instantaneously we know we're in the wrong crypt, because the correct crypt does not have an event. Okay, and so we noticed that was not it, so Jar of Souls wasn't here. And again, if you're fishing for this rift, it won't really matter anyway, because if you find the wrong crypt, you're probably leaving. So there are 4 different types of crypts, and this is a good place to mention this. The first type is the nothing. There's no event, no correct place to go. The second one's the Jar of Souls. We've been talking about that. That's the square in the center of the map. Then the third one is the Matriarch's Bones. That's the other event that you will see going on. And then the fourth one is the correct way to go. And so again, at this point, if you were fishing, you'd say, okay, I don't care. I'm just going to reset and start over, because it's not really that bad. And so again, with the tiling guide, we can see this one's expanding. We've got 2 tiles to the down left, and this means it could also be another Matriarch's Bones. There we go. So this one can go down here, and this one's also expanding, which means that it's potentially the grid this way, which means Jar of Souls is likely in the center. So this already is another crypt where I would just leave right off the bat and try and hope for a better crypt in the future. And so notice that this is now going to expand further, and this looks like the correct crypt, and it is. So I was wrong off the bat. But those are things to consider. Again, this is the fishing area, and so even if you do mess up, you can always fish for it. It's only a couple minutes into the run. I believe it's something like 4 minutes. So again, spam spacebar, and you do need to click this and then run back to town. And you're going to be getting items by completing quests in Act 1, so when doing that, you could just keep chunking them. You can let them fall on the ground, doesn't matter. And of course, have people back in town to talk with everybody. And this part you can't spacebar skip, so as I'm spamming my spacebar, and you can see Hedrick's not doing anything. So again, you want to optimize this. You want to stand in the correct places all the time in a solo game, so right as it comes up, you can talk with the correct person. In a group game, you want to have a towner stand and talk with people, and you want to have the individual runners go and do what they need to do. If there's 2 different events in town, you want to have 2 people in town and 2 people ready to run, things like that. So those are just general optimizations you can make in group, and of course solo play, you can memorize everything that's going on. And hopefully I don't get a glare. Let me just shut my window real fast so I don't get a glare, because I'm trying to show you guys the mini-map, and if I can't see the mini-map, that defeats the purpose. There we go. Alright. So, we can see this map is going to either inch up to the upper right, which is not, or it is going to go this way. So again, you're going to make these kinds of mistakes, and this is why, let me just mention here, why the Avarice Band, Ring of Grandeur, Pride's Fall, Hexing Pants, Boon, all that good stuff is useful. If you notice that while we were killing stuff going up here, I already had a decent pickup radius, and then when I come back here, all that gold just got picked up, and my pickup radius is huge right now, and then of course I've got my pet, which automatically picks up some loot. So we're going to just keep running forward and picking up stuff. Like, look at that. I was over here, and you guys noticed that a health globe down here picked up when I was heading this way. And so that health globe, when combined with my passive of Blood Vengeance, is going to gain me tons of hatred and discipline. So if you're already concerned about your hatred and stuff, you don't have to worry about it. So you've already got that kind of stuff. And again, there, you can start speaking with Cormac by spamming spacebar. Here you just need to touch that thing, return his stuff, and then the event will proceed on its own. So there are just brief optimizations that you can do with maps like this. And so I know I'm not explaining tiles that well yet, but we'll get there. And this is actually my Templar that I've got, as opposed to that's Cormac. So this is something else to consider. That, yes, at this one point in the game, you might get confused as to why Cormac's not blowing up those things. And that's because I'm in a solo game with Cormac himself. Alright, what's next on the list? Again, what you're going to notice is I'm going to keep referring you to my actual video runs, because this is meant to be an explanation, and I can't explain everything all the time. It'll be hours upon hours. So this is going to be another map that opens up into the top center area, and now I'll explain something called exiting the loop, which is something I do need to explain in this concept, because this happens very frequently. What you're going to notice is this is going to kind of expand. You've got a wall here, but this is going up here, and so the map is going to expand in this kind of direction. So what you're going to notice is you're going to notice this kind of loop. Now, with the tile sets, what you're going to hope for is that in the center, it typically is going to be a quad. Once in a while, you have to enter the loop, because there's going to be a blockade here. Well, let me erase this. There's going to be a blockade there, a blockade there, and a blockade there. And you notice that on my mini-map, you can go up right from here, and this might be the place to go. So if that's the case, you sometimes want to enter the loop. But typically what I do is I exit the loop. This loop right here, this giant square, is not something you would like to see very frequently, because the moment that you miss something, like maybe the exit was really down here, we know it's the wrong tile, but just say it was, and then you go around here, and you go here, and you go here, and you're like, oh no, where was it? You go back here, and you go back here, and you go back here. Look at all these lines I'm making, and look at all these lines I'm making, and okay, finally found it. As opposed to, if you exit the square, you can just go here, then you can go there, then you can go there, and then you can go there, and then you can go there, and oh, and now I see the arrow, and I go that way. And so look, I've never double-crossed any of my paths. I'm saving the most time. And so what exiting the square means is this is the square, and you want to try as much as possible to exit it when possible. So I notice that the square is going to open up to the center. Like I mentioned, it's going up this way, and up this way. So this is the likely location for the square to be, assuming there is a square. And we're going to try and exit the square when possible. So if you notice, I'm going to go this way and hit a tile that looks like it's a dead end. And it is. So it's just unfortunate, but again, if you're doing this, you're going to try and minimize the number of mistakes you make. But look, I exited the square, I only backtracked 3 seconds at most, and now I'm finding this way, and hopefully the arrow's going to pop up very soon. And once again, another exiting the square technique is we're going to notice that the square is here, and I'm going to probably want to capture this at some point, but this tile opens up to the top left. It could just be an instantaneous dead end right here with a couple treasure chests, and then it opens up here for the elites. It could be, but we're not going to worry about that. What we're going to mainly focus on is it's a way out of the square. And in this case, it got us out of the square and could potentially lead us to the exit, which it's not going to. So I'm not hitting everything correctly this run, and I'm not demonstrating it well. But again, what I have demonstrated, at least through the visuals, is I've never really double-crossed my steps other than dead ends. So I went here, I hit a dead end, I went back. I went here, I hit a dead end, I came back. I've never double-crossed, like gone here, then back, and then here, then back. That's just a complete waste of time. So what this is called is, I honestly forget, it's something like 2D planar something, maps. And so on a 2D planar map, you want to make every left or every right. That's basically the optimal solution for minimization of a 2D map problem. So without going into the mathematics and all the specifics, just make every left or every right. And what I did there was I noticed that the loop was in the center, so I took the lefts, and I kept going to the lefts, and I kept going to the lefts, and that the lefts were the outsides. And so in doing so, that I've minimized the number of mistakes I make by default because of the optimization protocol, the optimization procedure. So we'll ignore that for now. It's just a bunch of mumbo jumbo, but basically you want to try and exit the square when possible. There are some others. And yeah, there's events like that, for example, where you notice that I was like hitting the door trying to vault past, but even though the door opened, the flag didn't trigger, so it's still technically closed. So there's going to be places like that where you're going to notice there's not really many places to make those optimizations.